Hey guys, what's up? It's Apollo here. Hope you guys are doing well, and today we're going to be changing it up a little bit. I have been wanting to do podcast type videos for a long time. And what I mean by podcast, this is not a podcast by any means, but I mean podcast type as in I'm just talking about a topic. It's unscripted. Now, of course, I have my bullet points, so I cover everything I want to cover. But it's not scripted, one, because I'm really lazy, okay? I'm really lazy, and I'm not going to write up a script because, that's just not me. And the second thing is that I'm not good at writing. So even if I wrote a script, it would be terrible anyways. So I think what's best for me is to just talk about a topic and go over some points about whatever we're talking. And we're going to be talking about Total War related stuff, whether it be a new Total War game or talking about CA as a company or whatever, or maybe other strategy games, but mostly Total War. And that's what I want to start today. I want to start doing that today. Now, this is something I've been doing, something I wanted to do for a long time. And this is not my first time doing a video like this. About 2 years ago, I made a video called My Problem with Recent Total War Games, or video games, or whatever, something of that nature. And it went pretty well, and it was fun. But every time I want to make another video like that, or a video that's like this, I just, right before I start recording, I think to myself, nobody cares. Nobody cares what you have to say, Apollo, okay? Now, I don't call myself Apollo because that's kind of weird. But I usually just don't do it. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do what I do, which is sit down and record a battle. But I kind of like this. This is kind of... I'm doing this for me. I want to share some thoughts and opinions. But I'm also doing it because it's more intimate. I feel like I'm talking directly to my community instead of just playing a battle and talking over that. So I think this will be a lot of fun, and I'll certainly try to cover as many topics as possible. If you guys want to hear about a topic, mostly I'm going to just talk about what I want to talk about, but I will of course look at what you guys want me to talk about and consider that. So today I wanted to talk about Medieval 2 Total War, the greatest Total War that's ever been made. And there's one way they can make it even better. Maybe they could ruin it, but they could make it better at the same time, and that is an HD edition of Medieval 2 Total War. I think CA must do this. I think this is something that a lot of other companies are doing, and they're doing well. So for Age of Empires, they made the HD version of Age of Empires 2, which is really fun. And it basically, it makes the HD edition makes games that are really old playable on newer hardware, on newer PCs. So that's one of the major reasons why I want an HD edition. Now, of course, we agree or disagree. Medieval 2 Total War, one of the greatest Total Wars. Also, Rome 1 is also up there. If someone told me oh, my favorite Total War is Rome 1, I'm like, okay, I understand that. I'm not going to get upset about that. Medieval 2, though, in my opinion, is the greatest. And, I can go over that a little bit. I could save that for another video. But it's one of my favorites for a lot of different reasons. And I think that's why mostly I want an HD edition for Medieval 2. Also, Rome 1 got some attention because they made it into a mobile game. You can now play Rome 1 on your tablet, which is really cool. Also, Rome 2 came out, so it's not like it came out yesterday, but it came out fairly recently, relatively speaking. And the Roman time period, it's gotten some love. I think it's time for Medieval 2 to get some love, and I think they need to do that with an HD edition. So what we're going to be talking about, 3 different categories here. We're going to talk about what it must have, what the HD edition must have to be awesome, and what they must have, okay, when they release the HD edition, if they ever do. The second category is going to be things I want, so things that I think would be really cool if they added it to the game. I wouldn't be so upset if it wasn't in the game, but like really cool stuff that I think would make the game amazing. And then the last category are things that they probably will never do, but it would be amazing if it was in the game. So those are the 3 categories, and we'll start with the must. That's the important stuff. So, of course, what they need to do, first thing they need to do is make sure the HD edition runs well with Windows 10. There's something about Windows 10 that makes Medieval 2 dreadful, and that's mostly the reason why I don't really play Medieval 2 that much anymore, because the hardware is just becoming, as time goes on, it's becoming harder and harder to play the game. So, for example, when we were playing a siege battle and one of the walls come down, it causes my frame rate to just disappear, and it goes to like 8 frames until the wall is done like doing its animation of crumbling. I'm pretty sure that's a Windows 10 issue, because I had a friend that had the same issue, and he just uninstalled Windows 10, went back to 7, and it went away. Now, again, that's not for sure a Windows 10 thing, but that's what it seems like to me. So of course, they need to make the game run well on new hardware. That's kind of obvious, but it's a must-have. They need to improve the graphics. Now, obviously, they can only do so much, but they can definitely improve it, because the new HD edition will run on more RAM. It will have more power, bigger battles, stuff like that. So better graphics, better UI. That's another obvious. The interface, the UI for Medieval 2 is not the greatest. It's pretty dated. It's not terrible. If they didn't change it, I guess I wouldn't be too upset, but I think they definitely need to spice it up, make it a bit more modern. They didn't really do that with the Age of Empire 2 HD edition, so it's not that big of a deal. My biggest concern is just making it run well, and also making it run well from multiplayer. That's another issue I have here with Medieval 2, and why I don't play it as much, is because when you tab out of the game, it pauses the game for everyone. It is horrible. Little things like that. The lobby when you set up a game is very buggy. Oftentimes it crashes and like people can't join into the lobby for whatever reason. You got to rehost the lobby. Those little things they need to fix. And I will definitely play more Medieval 2 if they come out with an HD edition, because it's honestly like, it's just so good. I have more than 3,000 hours into that game. I bet there's people who have more. So another thing they must have is they need to continue to have that mod support. Could you imagine Third Age Total War on the HD edition? How badass that would be. I mean, Medieval 2, again, that's why I love it so much, is because you can mod it like no other game. You can mod it, and as we know, the more recent Total Wars are not so easy to mod, and they're just, well, that's another topic for another time, but they've got to make sure the HD edition is very easy to mod with it. Now, I'm not an expert. I don't know anything about modding, and that might be very difficult for them to do. But I think it's important, because modding is very, very important to Medieval 2. It's just so vitally. There's so many awesome mods for Medieval 2. So I really hope it has the same mod support, the same mod capability as the original Medieval 2. Another thing I think they need to add, and maybe this is a little biased from me, but I think they need to add more siege maps, more custom settlements, or different siege settlements, because, well, I love siege battles, guys. I think still to this day, siege battles are the best Medieval 2 Total War. Sure, they're slow, they're grindy, but there's something about them that makes you feel like you're there, you're a lord or a king or whatever, and you're leading your troops to battle. It's just, it's so awesome. So if they could add more siege maps, even just like one in every category. Do you know what I mean by that? So like, There's in Medieval 2, there's Citadel, Fortress, Castle. If they just added a new Citadel, a new Fortress, a new Castle, a new town, just one of a new one, I think it would be really awesome. Or even, you know what they could do? Just take all of the settlements from the expansions, or just have every expansion playable from this one game mode. So like you could host as like you're just playing normal medieval, but you have the option of selecting a Teutonic castle, you know, those clay red castles. I think that would be awesome, but you don't necessarily have to be a Teutonic faction or something like that. I would even be happy with just that, because there's some cool castles in the expansions, but I would like to see new settlements. I would like to see something new to the game. Similar to Age of Empires 2, they added like a faction. Now, I think they made you pay for it. I would not like I just want to see a new faction or something new. Like whether it be castles or a faction or new units, but it's just part of the game. It's not like a DLC you have to buy. So we'll see if, I mean, from CA, you know, they love their DLC. And another big issue that they need to do, and this is a tricky one, this is where it gets complicated. I think they need, well, obviously they need to do some bug fixes. There's some bugs in Medieval 2 that are pretty bad. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because some bugs are charming. Like some bugs are like, yeah, that's just Medieval 2. Like, I love it. You know, like Oblivion, they have some bugs in there, or like, it's just the dialogue is so bad, but it makes it charming. It's like, oh, I love it. Medieval 2 has that same kind of thing going on, but there are some bugs that are annoying that just kind of ruin the experience a little bit. So if I could just list a couple here that I would love to see changed. The biggest thing that comes to my mind is seeing, like, when you have troops during a siege battle and you have them on the walls, and let's say you have archers on the walls and they're getting shot at by artillery, and you want them to get off the walls, because if they don't, they'll all fall and die. So you're trying to rush them off the walls, but every time the artillery hits the wall, it cancels your order for them, and they just stand there and they're like, oh, I guess we're just dying because we got hit again and we're freaking out. I don't know what's going on. It is a bug, and I hope they fix that one. So when you tell your troops to get off the damn walls, they don't stop. They keep going regardless of what's going on. So I think that's a big one. There's another mod I don't even want to talk about because it's so game breaking, and I don't think everyone knows it. It might be common knowledge at this point, but there is a mod. I'm not even going to say what unit it's with, but it's bad. I guess I need to bring it up, right? You know what? I'll tell you what have I been saying mod? I mean bug. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. There's a bug. God, how long have I been saying mod? There's a bug that breaks the game. I'm going to say what it does, but I'm not going to tell you how you can do it. But basically, there's a bug where if you're using Cav, they have the capability of killing everyone that's next to them. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say any more, because if I say too much, you might figure it out. And again, I don't want to say it because it might ruin the experience of online from Medieval 2. But basically, when your Cav is in a fight with infantry, there's a way to make all the infantry near them die like that. So that's something they need to fix. Also, there's an issue with pikes. There's a bug with the pikes where they're looking the wrong way. If they could fix that. But some bugs I like. Well, you know, so far I think most bugs, like for example, the two-handed glitch. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the two-handed glitch. It's a bug where the animation of two-hander units, it's so slow that if you have a sorted unit, so let's say you have the Tabaderia, the axe infantry for Egypt, going against a broken lance unit from Milan. These factions don't matter, but what happens is that even though the Tabaderia is a better unit stats-wise than the broken lances, their animation is so slow at swinging the axe, and a one-handed sword unit can swing faster, that it cancels the animation of the slower swinging axe animation, and he does this stumble thing, right? He like swings the axe, it's going in, but the swordsman swings faster. He stops him, the axeman stumbles, and then he tries to swing again, and the same thing happens over and over. So the swordsman is winning because he can swing faster. If they could fix that, that would be amazing. Just little things like that. It would change a lot of the strategy of the game, for sure. But I think I'm okay with that. I don't like the fact that it's like, because there's a lot of cool units like the Janissary Heavy Infantry, the Gothic Knights, Tabaderia, all these badass. Let's not forget about the, I can't believe I forgot the name. The Byzantine Guard. They, the Nordic Axe Mercenaries. All these badass units that are not that effective because of this glitch. So I think if they fix that, it would make the gameplay differently, but it would be, I think, more right. I don't know, it just would be really cool. So that's about it in terms of must-have. I mean, the biggest concern is just having the game play well and not have these little like old issues of tabbing out and the game having it's like pausing for everyone, and that person has to tab back in, just little things like that. And of course, having the game use more RAM so you can have bigger battles and everything like that. So the next category we're going to be talking about is what I want, and I wouldn't be like super disappointed if they didn't add this, but I think it's things that could make the game really interesting and something that could really get people to be excited for the HD edition. So my first one is that they need to add a new expansion and just have it come with the game. And when I mean expansion, I'm talking in similar to like the Crusader expansion, the Americas expansion, what's the other one? Crusaders, Americas, Teutonic expansion. All those expansions are so awesome. I love those so much. They need to add a new one. Just something like the 100 Years' War. I mean, there's so many different topics in the medieval time period that you could do that would just be really interesting. And just have it like hyper focused on that. So like, for example, back to my 100 Years' War one, you could just have it where you only show, England, France. You probably need to show a little bit on the outside of the like foreign powers that got involved, like Scotland and Burgundy, and just have a couple of those factions in there. Add a bunch of new units and stuff. So I think a new expansion would be great to see. Now I wouldn't be devastated, but it would be amazing. Another thing they need to add, which is I probably should put this in the category of this would be amazing, but it's not gonna happen category, which is the next one. But I would just love to see this, a co-op campaign with Medieval 2 Total War. That would be the most amazing thing ever. Like, I would be set for life. Because if we're talking about co-op, endless amount of fun with your friends, either doing co-op or head-to-head. And then on top of that, add mods. Imagine playing Divide and Conquer or Third Age Total War co-op campaign. How awesome would that be? A player playing as Mordor, another player playing as Gondor, or maybe they're allies where you have your friend playing as Mordor and you are playing as Isengard. How sick would that be? That would be amazing. Or even just, doing like, I don't know, it's just endless. It's endless possibilities there. So I would love to see co-op. But I'm kind of leaning on that they're probably not going to do that, because the problem with Medieval 2, it's old game, and I'm pretty sure 100% of the people who worked on the game do not work for CA anymore. So going back to old code, it could be a mess, and adding a co-op campaign is probably outside the scope of what CA is willing to do with their game. Another great thing that I would love to see is unit diversity. Seeing new units. I think A lot of factions in Medieval 2 are pretty limited in terms of unit diversity. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now on those factions. I think a lot of the I think a lot of the issue is the two-handed glitch, and that really kills the Turks because they rely on the Janissary heavy infantry and they suck. So it kind of limits their roster. If they just fix the two-handed glitch, it would be good. But if they could add more unit diversity or even new factions, add a couple new factions in there, minor, like seeing Burgundy, seeing, let's see, what other, you could do, I don't know, a lot of other stuff. Castile. They kind of just lumped Castile and Aragon into one and just called it Spain. But yeah, just seeing more factions would be cool, and that would be really interesting for campaign as well. You could even have like an option to just do like pure vanilla mode, where you take away all the new units and you just play vanilla mode, but it's still on the like better graphics and better interface and UI. So those are some of the things I would love to see that I think would really make the HD edition really interesting, and something that I'd be willing to spend like $80 on. You know, like Medieval, you have no idea. It's just Medieval 2 is so great, and the only thing that's stopping me is how old the game is and how poorly it runs. So the next category I'm going to go into is how awesome it would be. Sounded like Kevin from The Office, but how awesome it would be. But it's most 99% they're not going to do it because they probably just can't. So what I would love to see is naval battles. How awesome would it be to have naval freaking battles? Solar freaking roadways, man. That would be amazing. And I always, like, if they gave me the keys and like, all right, here you go, Apollo, you're gonna make your very own medieval game, I would add these badass naval battles where even like Siege, where you know how sometimes a castle, like a part of it will be like showing towards the ocean, and like they made those contraptions where they had siege towers on ships, on boats, and they brought them up and attacked the walls that way. I would add that, man. That's so cool. And I would have so many iconic castles and anyways, that could be another topic of like my ideal Total War, what it would consist of. But naval battles, and they probably won't do this because the engine does not support naval battles, so it's probably not going to happen. The next thing is better AI. How many times have you played Medieval 2 and you are maybe conquering new land and your army's getting smaller and smaller because you keep pushing your army, and it's a good game, so you can't just automatically like replenish your forces like the new ones. Like if you want elite troops, you have to train at that castle or at that settlement, so you're pushing really hard. You got a new settlement right on the border of your enemy, and your army is so depleted and so tired, and they send a massive army to your gates, right to your gates, and you're just like, oh god, my grand army that has sacrificed so much, that have been through so much, so many campaigns, so many settlements have been conquered by them, are about to get destroyed by a fresh, hungry army. And then they attack you. You see all the siege towers pushing towards the wall. They push up the ram. The gate opens. And what do? They drop everything. And they all charge through the gate. And you slaughter that army with ease because they're going through one gate. I hate that so much. And I really hope they fix that. Or, well, they're probably not. I mean, are they going to spend time improving the AI? Probably not. Again, the HD edition will be more multiplayer focused for me, but I would love to return to some campaigns and play campaign. So I would love to see better AI. Again, 99% chance they're not going to do anything to the AI. The next thing I would like to see is avatar mode. Okay, this one is a really big stretch, but I loved avatar mode. I absolutely loved it, and I do not know why they got rid of it. It was so stupid. They went from Shogun 2, which had this really addictive avatar mode. All you wanted to do was get better forces, have these custom troops that proven themselves in battle, and you've given them a cool name, and you improved their stats, even your general. Oh, it would be so amazing. Or it was amazing. And then here comes Rome 2. Bare bones multiplayer. My God, it was the worst thing ever. Going from avatar mode to bare fucking bones. I'm sorry for my language, but that made me so mad. This is the reason why people don't understand why I hate Rome 2. And it's not because it's not a bad game. It's pretty playable right now and pretty interesting, but I have such a bad taste in my mouth from the release of that game that I just don't like hearing the music and the style. I just like, it gives me a headache, you know? It's just like, get this game away from me. But I would love to see, long story short, avatar mode would be amazing for Medieval 2, and like making your own custom sigil. That's another thing. If I had the keys to Total War, avatar mode, sigil, you know, cool custom sigil, you can paint your troops, you can get different troops. It would be amazing. But I doubt that's going to happen. And that's another thing, not to get off topic, but why does Warhammer not have avatar mode? I don't even like Warhammer, and again, that's another topic for another time. But that is the ideal game for avatar mode. That is literally what the tabletop is. Building your own armies and painting them. Why did they not add that to the game? Lord only knows. Lord only knows. The great Juju of the mountain. The next thing that I think would be really cool, it kind of ties into co-op campaign. But let's say they couldn't do co-op campaign. What would a great alternative would having some sort of hot seat integrated in the game, because I'm sure you guys know what. Let me just explain what hot seats are. I'm sure you know what it is, but just in case, hot seat is a way to do campaigns with multiple people for Medieval 2, and the way that works is you play like it's single player, right? And then you save the file, you send it to someone else, they play the game on their turn, and then they send the file to someone else. So it's like you're playing a campaign with a ton of people. And I don't know if you've heard of a YouTuber, Legend of Total War. He's a great Total War YouTuber. He did a lot of hot seats, but there was always a ton of drama because the biggest issue is that rules and exploiting the game. And I think one thing they could do is have like an integrated hot seat thing that you could play that's really not as difficult. Like, it's really easy to send to the next player. You can do it in the game, you know, instead of having to email the save file to them. Being able to do that, and being able to do battle drop-ins. So the way it would work is you would play the single player. You would play the hot seat. It'd be like single player, but when you go into a battle, it notifies the player. Something like that. Something. I know that's kind of hard to do because players will be just sitting around like, okay, it's my turn after like 20 other players play. And you always have to be ready for a drop-in battle. But if you could drop into the battle and try to fight, and it'd be really interesting, like having these like cool battles, you know, instead of just fighting the AI. Because I've seen Legend of Total War, and I get it, he's trying to win, but like, he'll exploit the shit out of the game. And that's kind of like his thing, so I don't blame him, but like, that's just something that wasn't like fun for me, exploiting the game and building. Yeah, it would be cool if you could actually defend your city real time with your army. But those are some of the topics I would love to see that probably would never happen. But I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say. It's been about 30 minutes, so I've been rambling on for long enough. But I'm curious to see what would be your ideal HD edition of Medieval 2 Total War. Would you just be happy with newer graphics and a smoother running game? Or would you want to see a new expansion, new factions, stuff like that? Or maybe you want to argue something like, no, don't add that Apollo, or don't fix that bug. That bug's awesome. Or don't change the two-handed glitch because when you play the HD edition, it's going to feel completely different. Something like that. I can understand that. But yeah, just share your thoughts, guys. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. I will have more topics in the future. Some a bit more harsh than others. This one was a fun one. You know, this is one that won't cause any, you know, Reddit posting, I guess. But thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this type of video. And I will see you next time. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.